I don't I don't really know how to structure this, so I'm kind of just gonna consider this like I don't know, an editorial piece. So there's something I've been thinking about on the concept of Fire Emblem and things that a lot of people have a problem about. And I'm wondering, what is the validity of the expression, "you control the buttons you press"? Now, this specifically is in reference to something that the Doom Twitter tweeted out shortly after the release of, not the release, but before the release of Doom Eternal, when they showed off a new feature, and someone was like, "Man, I don't like this feature. Can I play without it? Is there a button to turn it off?" And the Doom Twitter replied, "You control the buttons you press." And that got me thinking, if a feature is broken, or perhaps a little strong, what validity is there to the argument of just don't use it? Like, should it be completely discredited? Should it be warranted? Now, I'm playing Sacred Stones just as the backdrop, mainly to have something Fire Emblem related while I'm mainly just talking. But the Tower of Valmy, for existence, in Sacred Stones, people are like, "Oh, you can just grind there at any point you want." Like, where's the difficulty in Sacred Stones? You can just grind. And a counter-argument that I and other people have used have been, no one's ever forced you to grind. Like, you never have to do it. It's completely out of your way and optional. But then, is the fact that it's optional a valid reason to dismiss it as the ability to become broken? Or a more modern example would be the Divine Pulse or Emila's Turn Wheel. People like, that completely breaks the game. It makes 3 houses and echoes too easy. You could just not use it. Like, at what point does self-imposed challenge, how much should that be taken into account when talking about a game's balance? Because, I mean, if you think about it, the ability to do things optionally, like, any RPG would have terrible gameplay. You can just grind. However long you want to grind. Like, Kingdom Hearts would become completely easy if you just grinded to level 100 on Riku and Destiny Isles. Anyone's ever done that. Who hurt you and why? But is that fair to dismiss the balance of a game because you have the ability to become overpowered? Or should we think of it as you control the buttons you press? It's an interesting topic that I see the merits in both. Like, another example here. For example, okay, self-imposed challenge in the vein of, say, Pokemon. Pokemon's become very easy for a lot of people. So we made up the Nuzlocke challenge to give it more difficulty, and we play it in a way that's not really developer intended, but we have a lot of fun with it. But if we have to go against how the game is made to enjoy how the game is made, do we enjoy the game? I mean, that sounds like we do, right? We're playing the game, we're enjoying it. Don't we like the game? But we're also completely going against things the game has set in place. So, do we enjoy the game? And I'm not really trying to say one way is right or the other. I kind of just want to think about it. And, in my opinion at least, for games like Fire Emblem and Pokemon, where part of the appeal is the freedom to use whatever units you want to use, the freedom to use whatever Pokemon you want to use, blah blah blah, I think there actually is merit to the whole idea of you control the buttons you press. Like, sure, people say the Mila's Turn Wheel breaks the game, but if you don't use it, Echoes is a lot more challenging. It can be a lot more fun. So, does that mean it should be completely discounted? I'd say it's fair to do so. If a game is built around the freedom of the player, then I think anything the player is in the freedom to do should be considered a valid way to play the game. Like, if you... Get the hell out of here, all you other weak-ass units. if you want to play a game on easy, it's like a difficulty. Some people enjoy playing games on hard. Some enjoy playing them on easy, and some enjoy the neutral setting. Like, people find the one that's enjoyable to them. I don't think a game should be judged purely on how well it appeals to the hardest difficulty of play or the easiest. I think it should be taken into account how well it can appeal to both. So for Fire Emblem's case, yes, playing something like 3 houses on easy and using every single Mila's turn wheel, to some, that would be fun. They enjoy just going through the game without really thinking, but not really having to worry about the really difficult strategies and all that. Other people are like, I'm playing a strategy game for my strategy, and they're gonna play it balls to the wall on the hardest setting. And I think anything they do to make the game more enjoyable to themselves should be a point for the game. Like, the fact that you can use the Divine Pulse to make 3 houses easy should be a mark for it, because you can ignore it if you don't want to use it, and use it if you do. But then that makes the valid question. You could say every game is great because someone can find a way to enjoy it, and I can understand that that is a slippery slope that might not exactly be fair or intelligent to use. Henceforth, why I kind of do understand if people say, no, man, if it's in the game and it's broken and the player can use it, that game is poorly designed. But, harkening back to the concept of things being optional, I think as long as it isn't forced to be used by the player, I think it's worth discounting some of those kinds of features if you have the choice to use them. Like, a game mechanic where you really can't avoid it. Like, now that I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, I really cannot, okay, fine. An earlier Fire Emblem game in permadeath. I never minded the mechanic. A lot of people did. I'll admit, I don't necessarily get why. I always thought older Fire Emblem games were easier than the newer ones. But some people really didn't like the permadeath mechanic. Now, there's the option. Do you want to go balls to the wall with permadeath, or do you want to turn it off? So the option that it's there, it appeals to someone. It's fine. Now, I'm not trying to say, like, games should just not worry about balance because players will be able to do anything themselves. That's kind of the part of why I agree with the idea that these shouldn't necessarily be excused. But I also, complicated thoughts. I'm not thinking coherently. This is kind of a rant piece in case you couldn't tell. But where was I going with this? Where is I going with this? Where was I going with this? Well, my mind is lost. I'm gonna try to get back on track here. Optional game mechanics, the validity of them. Did I just proc Perfect Shield on something I absolutely... Of course I did. I'm going through. So, ultimately it comes down to your opinion. Like, I think there is merit to the idea of letting players play how they want to play. There's no real right or wrong way to play any game. Unless you're, like, playing a multiplayer game and cheating. But, like, I mean... Come on, that's not what I'm talking about here. So, if you can find enjoyment in a game... If multiple people of different playstyles can all find their enjoyment in the same game, I think that game did something right. Oh, I remember going with things earlier. But at the same time, I'm not telling every game to necessarily try to appeal to everyone by offering a multitude of tools. Some games are meant to appeal to casual players. That's their audience in mind, and they don't want to come up with ways to appeal to the hardcore player. Kirby, for example. Super easy, super cute games. They're not hard. They were never meant to be hard. The final boss can be challenging in a few of them. Oh well, an enemy that... But they're not hard. They were never meant to be. They're meant to appeal to a casual audience. That's fine. Don't waste your resources trying to make a game for something that's not what you're after. Dark Souls, for example, appeals to a crowd that likes more challenge. They shouldn't feel the need to add in dumbed easy mechanics if they don't necessarily need to. That's not their target demographic, and the people that wouldn't enjoy Dark Souls wouldn't enjoy a dumbed down version of Dark Souls. But something like Fire Emblem, or Pokemon, or games that encourage freedom, I think it's completely valid to like, applaud it for when it offers that freedom. Like, my entire channel is dedicated to playing these games in a really stupid way. Nothing I'm doing is developer intended. At all. You think developers intended you to go through the game without spending any money? Not getting laid? Not using horses? No, they intended me to use all of those things. But just because they intended for me to use them doesn't necessarily mean they wanted me to use them. Play the games how you want. That's what I'm saying. But, how do I'm losing my mind here. Because I think I've said what I'm trying to say. And y'all get it by this point, I think. But, you know, I am curious. Like, how much do you think... You get the silver axe, because you're the boss. How much do you think games should or shouldn't be knocked down for things that the player can just turn off? Do you think if it's in the game, it should be looked at and counted against it, regardless of if it's optional or not? Or do you think if you don't have to use it, it's not necessarily good or bad? It's up to the player. That's all I'm trying to say. This totally isn't something I threw together to be a filler video until the Hubert video is done. Definitely not what's going on. I can guarantee you right now that no way, no sir, is that what I'm doing here. I just genuinely wanted to open up a thought piece, I guess. I don't know. If you want to hear more of this, feel free. I have a lot of things I can ramble about. But that's really all I'm trying to say. Now, feel free to bring up other examples of optional things that you don't really mind. Like, say, in other games. Like, I have not played every single Jerpig known to man. Maybe there's some sort of great argument to be brought up in a Star Ocean or a Yeast game that I've never played, and they fit this idea I'm talking about perfectly. Please, like, let me know. I'm just saying, I don't think the Tower of Valmy should be counted against Sacred Stones, or the Divine Pulse should be... Ah, I remembered an example I wanted to bring up. Oh, thank God, we reached the end of the video and I remembered something. In a lot of the more modern Nintendo platformers, if you are playing through the stage, and you're just eating such an exuberant amount of ass cheeks at it, God will come and give you superpowers. There's, like, a pig in the new Donkey Kong Country games that gives you, like, super jumps and invincibility. I believe, Rosalina comes in Mario Galaxy 2 to play things for you. They're there if you want them. They just appear near the checkpoint if you keep dying. But those games are praised for their level design. Whereas if you took it like this and said, oh, Sacred Stones is bad because Valmy, or the modern games are bad because Divine Pulse, then they would say that Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze or Mario Galaxy 2 are garbage games because you can just skip all the levels. But no, no one says that. They praise those games for their great level design because the overpowered thing is optional for the players that need it or want it. Shouldn't Fire Emblem get that same courtesy? I'll leave that for you to decide. Let me know what you think. Anything else before I go? Oh yeah, like, comment, subscribe, or I'll kill you. Like, comment, survive. The YouTube algorithm doesn't care how I get the subscriptions, just that I get them. I stole that joke from Game Grumps. I've been watching a lot of them lately. I love you, Dan, Ava, Daniel, and... Fuck, I'm getting off track. Have a good one. Hubert video should be coming soon. Peace. Goodbye. Sayonara. Au revoir. Smell you later.